Alright guys, we're going to be looking at our last example here, which is finding phrases regardless of spacing. So one way to search for a phrase that might occur with extra spaces between words or across a line or page break is to remove all line feeds and extra spaces from the input and then grep that. So to do this, we're going to pipe the input to tr. We're going to do that with the single quote \r\n colon \greater than sign \pipe dash single quote. Okay? So a lot going on there, a lot of backslashes. We're going to put that as an argument to the -d option, removing all line breaks from the input, and we're going to pipe that to the FMT filter with the -u option, outputting the text with uniform spacing. We're going to pipe all of that to grep with the pattern to search for. Okay, so we have that here, guys. So we have cat book pipe tr-d single quote this format here. So \r\n colon \greater than \pipe dash. We're going to pipe that to fmt-u. We're going to pipe that to grep at the same time as. So we're finding at the same time as, and we're getting rid of all the extra spaces and page breaks. Okay. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you that line. So cat book. So what we have here is we have other students have been following along, and we have a lot of spaces in between it at the same time as you. Okay, so let's see what happens when we run this. So the first thing we're doing is we're doing cat book. We're piping the output of this to tr-d single colon \r \n colon \greater than \pipe dash single colon, and then we're piping that to fmt-u, and we're piping that finally to the grep statement at the same time as you. Okay, so guys, what happened is we already outputted book, right? And we're chopping down all of that stuff. We're getting rid of all the extra spaces and lines. We're feeding that into grep. So that's why we didn't have to specify here on the grep statement book, right? We already outputted group the contents of book into this pipe, and it got fed into this. It chopped out a bunch of spacing and fed that into this to give it uniform spacing, and it fed it into this, right? So what we're going to have as a result is a nice single line. Students have been following along at the same time as you. Okay, actually I noticed a typo here. We got one too many L's, right? So I guess that's another thing to know about Vim Editor. It doesn't show you typos, so you're going to have to be careful when spelling things. So let's head back to our homework, or our project, and let's summarize what we've covered. So in this article, we reviewed 10 practical examples of using grep Linux command for searching and finding strings in a text file. Along the way, we learned how to use regular expressions in conjunction with grep to conduct complex searches on text files. By now, you have a better idea on how powerful Linux search functions are. So here's some additional resources for those of you interested in learning more about Linux programming. I highly recommend following these guys and checking them out. We have 5 resources for system administrators, which are a Linux system admin guide for what is Linux operating system, how it works, an overview of Linux virtual memory and disk buffer cache, best practices for monitoring Linux systems, best practices for performing Linux boots and shutdowns, and best practices for making and managing backup operations. We also have resources for kernel programmers. We have 3 of those. We have our How Linux Operating System Memory Management Works, a comprehensive review of Linux kernel operating system processes, and what are mechanisms behind Linux kernel task management. We also have Linux File System Dictionary, so we have a comprehensive review of how Linux file and directory systems work. Oops. Okay, so be sure my screen got stuck there. Sorry, guys. Be sure to follow those links, continually learning, okay? Because the more knowledge you have, the better off you're going to be. And I hope you had fun on this project, guys. This was a project from coding-bootcamps.com. Be sure to check out the end of those PowerPoint slides if you need a little bit of extra help. You can find those Linux and Bash scripting private tutoring sessions. Okay, there are weekly and monthly plans available. We also have ones available for Linux System Administrator Management. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the other homework and project assignments, as well as on our other courses.